Well, I'll make a little video to show you what I've been doing. Here is the table saw. It has an extender, but it only goes so far, and it uses these rods, and it's a little bit floppy. And so it was rather difficult, I'll take that out of the way, to be able to make cuts and keep things square. So what I've done is I've made a frame, a couple of sawhorses, a couple of 2x4s, and when I say 2x4 they were a full 2x4 until I planed them down, sanded them. I butted those up to the table saw after leveling the sawhorses and the little framework. I notched a board there and here that actually hangs on to the top of the table saw, and I did the same thing down here, screwing it into the sawhorses. I made sure that this was square here, and then I measured back from the blade, and I put in a couple of blocks. All I have to do is knock a couple of brad nails out and those will slide. I have 2 of them. With my 4-foot level, I have a little stop here. I can put it in, slide it in place, and it locks it. I am now exactly 61 inches from here to the blade. And on the other side, here is my woodworking toolbox, workbench that I will put my chop saw on, that's sitting over there currently on the banister. The chop saw will go on top, shelf will go inside, and there will be doors. It's on wheels that are lockable, 4 wheels of course. But when we put our plywood here and come to cut it, it gives me the 61 using the 4-foot level as my guide, which is up against the 2 blocks, which are attached to my 2 rails, which are attached to the saw, and the workpiece can come across onto my workbench / toolbox. Since the whole goods are only 4 foot wide, it means Debbie, my helper, will just have to do a little bit of guiding. And right here, let's see, doesn't come out so good. There we go. Is a little bit of workspace to help catch the shorter piece when it comes off, which of course I will be standing there pushing on. So the wood that I used, you see the screws? This wood is so hard that when I tried to use the table saw, even to cut the plywood, it's 11/16. It's just 1/16 undersize. So I can't even plan on 3/4 of an inch, it's 11/16. But it was so hard wood, even the plywood, that the blade on the skill saw, brand new blade, would get hot and begin to warp, and then it would go crazy and start veering off, even though I was still tight to my guide. So when building this, I had to pre-drill holes and then run the screws in. On the work table, I have yet to put the facing on this. The facing will go down and the doors will hang on that. But I put a little bit of scrap wood to brace it. I cut the feet of the saw so they're flat. Some nice cuts here. And I use some shimming material to level up this rail set I have so that the table saw and everything lines up nice. It's nice and flat. I got this oversized board for a small price from Marshall, the fellow who built our one cabinet. Took 6 weeks to do it. He planed it down, and I brought that intending to use it as a workbench. I have instead used it as a tail piece for the miter saw, because when putting goods on the miter saw, oh, look at this little spider here. Can you see it? Of course, the goods don't stay level, so I use that board to help hold it up. So I'm going to take my little chop saw, and if any of you have seen my equipment in the States, you realize this is an identical saw. The Hitachi C10 FCE2, except this one does have a dust catching bag. So I liked that. I like the way it feels. Everything comes natural because I'm used to it. So there you go. Let me see, what else have we got here. Working out in the sunshine, in the rain, when there is rain. And it's quite humid at the moment because there was a little bit of rain. And here is my little compressor. This little compressor is so quiet. When I was buying it, I couldn't even tell that it was operating. They turned it on and operated it for me. So there you go. Now you know what I'm doing. You've seen a few of the tools. Debbie's been a big help. Today's laundry day, so I'm not doing any major cutting, just a little bit of chop saw work. Have a good one. It's starting to sprinkle, so I'm going to cover things up.